Welcome to Know the Name, Know the Genius in You, where in a single moment you can recognize your brilliance and change your life. This is a transformational hour that covers an array of topics that demonstrate how individuals use their native talents, as shown in their name, to look at the ordinary in extraordinary ways. Albert Einstein once said that everybody's a genius. Why would one of the smartest people on the planet declare that everyone is a genius unless he knew that to be true? I'm your host, Sharon Lynn Wyeth, creator of Namology Science and author of Know the Name, Know the Person. In each weekly show, you hear the fascinating ways other people have discovered the genius in themselves and what they were able to accomplish. At the end of tonight's show, you're going to hear clues on how you can recognize your own innate genius. All over the world, people want to know how highly successful people have managed to achieve their genius mindset as they're utilizing the gifts that the science of namology sees in their name. So, how does someone express their creative talents? And how does someone share those gifts with others in such a way that everyone benefits? Our expert tonight is Vimala Rogers, who has an amazing track record for her ability to know about how the letters in the alphabet and how you form those letters are connected to the brain and what those impacts are on each other. She's a zealous pioneer in mind-hand research, author of 5 books, 3 graduate syllabi on the spirituality of writing patterns, and author of the best-selling Your Handwriting Can Change Your Life. Vimala Rogers is an educator, handwriting expert, and master alphabetician, whose focus is on the inherent spirituality of the letters of the alphabet and their effect upon the psyche. Not graphology, not penmanship, no judgments. You know, this is something that's totally different to most people because we don't think about how we actually form the letter that's going to make a difference in our lives. With a solid background in psychology, Vimala also has a background in philosophy and global spiritual traditions, and she was trained at Stanford University as a peak performance coach. She guides individuals as well as groups, especially teachers who want to bring to life their hidden gifts and talents, and guide others in doing the same, thus refining their work so that her whole goal is that more people can create a dazzling future doing what they love. She's also the director of the International Institute of Handwriting Studies and a zealous pioneer in the brain-hand research. She's focused on the inherent spirituality of the letters, and I'm really interested in how this affects the psyche now that I've been doing this for a while just to see how well it works, and to me it's just amazing. So welcome to Know the Name, Know the Genius in You radio show, Vimala.
Well, thank you, Sharon. What an introduction. Well, it's just fun to speak with somebody who knows something about the letters of the alphabet because they are my dearest friends. And you know, I have degrees and I have a background, but the letters, you know, we always have something out there in the universe that really brings us inward so we can share it outward. And that, for me, is the letters of the alphabet. And
see, I think so too. Go ahead.
I didn't hear what you said.
I said I think so too. I'm fascinated by the letters, but I do it differently. You do formations and what they mean, and I do placement. So, yes, I'm absolutely fascinated by what you're doing with these letters.
Well, we focus also, and in fact, I have a class tonight, we focus on the initial of a person's first name, not their nickname, not, you know, just, but what the initial of the first name is and how it represents the quality that each one of us is here to master and share with humanity to bring a happier world to peace. And, for instance, you have a ligature, actually, you're an SH. And there, years ago, I was, you know, I'm trained in Sanskrit, and I was reading the Bhagavad Gita, which is the Song of God from India, and chapter 16 begins with these words: there are 26 qualities we must perfect before we can be free. And I thought, 26? So I got really excited. So I read through every quality in the Gita, and every one represents a letter in our alphabet. So it's very exciting to know that, you know, the way we write it has nothing to do with the hand, except the hand's moving the pen. It's the subconscious mind that moves the pen, because that decides who we say we are and how we see everybody else. And the subconscious mind is filled not with what has happened to us in life, but how we have interpreted what has happened to us. If you and I, Sharon, were in the same room and, say, somebody broke down the door, you would have one interpretation of it, I would have another. And so it's that interpretation of whatever has happened to us in life that moves the pen. And the reason I guide people in adopting a healthy alphabet is that when you begin to write with the Vimala alphabet, which is a system in itself, you begin to tell the mind how to think and get rid of those self-limiting thought habits. It's fascinating. And I've worked with many people in the last 30 years who have changed their lives. It's, and it doesn't take therapy and thousands of dollars and years. Pick up your pen. That's all it takes. And it's the history of the letters that fascinate me, and I know since I was little, I was fascinated with letters. I would only play with the letter blocks. I wouldn't play with dolls. I just loved the letters. Didn't understand them, but I did. And of course, as I grew into maturity and learned about handwriting, I learned about psychology. I have a background in all of this, and they all began to merge together. And I realized, I wonder if I crossed my T's on top, what would happen? I wonder if I made my B this way, what would happen? And because I don't believe anything, and I tell everyone in any class I'm teaching, don't believe it, I'm going to tell you. If indeed you want to find out the truth of what I'm saying, pick up your pen and begin making the changes I suggest. And it takes 40 days for the physical patterns in the brain to change, and they shift. They physically shift in the brain, and your whole attitude toward yourself and the whole world around you improves and becomes soul-based, as I call it, because each letter I have designed is based on soul energy. People say soul energy. So we all have a soul, everyone, no exceptions. And when we write, we either accent that part of us or the ego part. And there's just two things in there. And who was it? Jampolsky that said, love is letting go of fear. There's only two places inside of us from which we come. One is love, and one is fear.
Yeah, absolutely. And every other word we have falls into one of those two categories. I have also read the Bhagavad Gita, and it fascinated me when I heard you say that in one of your classes, the 26 qualities and the 26 letters, because everything in my brain started pinging with that. And I thought,
isn't that exciting when that happens?
Yes, because I thought I didn't make that connection ahead of that, even though I'd read the material. And I noticed on your website you also quote Paramahansa Yogananda.
I definitely do. And of all, I would say I don't belong to a group, but I've read his book, several of his books. But the book I recommend anybody that's listening to the show, anybody. It's a little tiny book, but I put it in my passport folder because it's my passport to, out of this world. And it's just called The Law of Success. He does not preach. He does not say believe it. But, one of my heroes is Plato. And Plato and Yogananda would be buddies. The only thing Plato didn't say was meditate, but Yogananda said, do all this and, bring your gifts alive and help heal the world. But he just, and also he was Steve Jobs' guru. But anyway, I could go on and on. But he was very practical. He didn't say go meditate all the time. He said meditate every day. But live your life to serve humanity. And that's what I do. And that's, I'm sure, what you do, too, with your... I'm not quite sure what you do.
Yeah, it's different than what you do. But I read Autobiography of a Yogi when I was in 11th grade. And so I was just fascinated by that. And at age 18, I started a daily meditation practice. And I think all of that helps us in our gifts and bringing those forward. They're just added, things that help us along the way. So before we get to a break, I would like to just say a little bit about what's in your name, if you're ready.
Oh, I'm ready, sure.
Okay. So I'm going to qualify this for our listeners because Vimala created her own name, or actually it was given to her, but it's not her birth name. Okay. So in her birth name, she has fairness issues, and she has a search for the truth, and she has observation skills, and she has this native intelligence and intuition. And also very quick thinking in her mind. That's in her birth name. And then in the name that she goes by, she has inclusivity and a ton of spirituality, besides being able to create simplicity out of complex ideas. So it's very interesting to look at your name and to see, how you're using all of those now, that and how you've put them into play. So,
well, yeah.
Yes, I'm just
I
fascinated.
don't know what you're looking at except my name, and thank you for being so positive. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I'm just picking out different letter combinations in your name and what they mean in namology science. Now, I've heard you say that our writing habits are a graphic image of our thought habits. And,
absolutely. Yeah.
And I only have like about 30 seconds for you to explain and say that in different words so that everybody can get it, and that's what we'll pick up after the break.
Okay. The way we write, the way we form letters is a graphic impression of how we think. In other words, we think a certain way, and we hold the pen and move it, and our hand says, this is who you are. This is how you think. And it's the letters and the letter. Yeah.
I just love that. We need to take our break. You're listening to Know the Name, Know the Genius in You with Sharon Lynn Wyeth on X Zone Broadcast Network, xzbn.net. And this show can also be heard on knowthename.com. After the break, we'll hear more about the importance of how we form our letters. Stay tuned to Know the Name, Know the Genius in You.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, X-1, Dimension X, Space Patrol, and every minute of the X Zone Broadcast Network by calling 213-401-0080, courtesy of Audio Now. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan, and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 213-401-0080 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember 213-401-0080 for the best of the paranormal, parapsychology, and sci-fi radio programming anywhere, 24/7, 365.
You have heard of the X Zone? Now watch it on Simul TV. Plus 500 video games, live TV channels, free video on demand, worldwide, and more. Does this sound like tomorrow's television? Well, it is, but you can have it today, right now. It is Simul TV. Simul TV offers what the others only wish they could provide. 15 exclusive channels like X Zone, sci-fi, and horror. We are worldwide. No other provider offers that. 500 built-in video games. No need to have an extra expensive system. We have them included. Free video on demand. Live streaming events from around the world. Interactive online network, and much more. Tomorrow's TV today. Simul TV. Sound too good to be true? Well, it's not. You can have Simul TV today. Sign up at simultv.com. Do it today.
We live in rapidly shifting times of extreme volatility and uncertainty. Such profound change brings a unique opportunity for the evolution of consciousness. I'm Gwilda Wiyaka, host of Mission Evolution Radio Show, a program that explores the latest scientific developments and deepening spiritual truths supporting human evolution. Join me on xzbn.net, where I interview leading experts in science, physics, medicine, spirituality, and more. By applying divergent viewpoints to leading-edge topics, we uncover expansive and evolutionary truth to assist you on your path to enlightenment. More information and past episodes are available at missionevolution.org.
Welcome back. I'm Sharon Lynn Wyeth, and you're listening to Know the Name, Know the Genius in You, which is being heard on xzbn.net and knowthename.com. Our guest tonight is Vimala Rogers, whose website is www.iihs.com. I'm going to say it again because it's different. It's iihs.com, and they're all little letters. Okay, when we were leaving off, we were talking about how we form our letters and how that connects to the brain. How did you figure that out, that was making a difference other than just trial and error? How did you figure out what the letters meant for you?
Oh, I didn't figure it out. It just made perfect sense because, and as I say, I don't believe anything. I have to experience, to me, is where truth lives, and I have to experience it myself or have other people experience it. And I knew, as I studied the letters from the time I was young, that every letter made a difference. And even when I was at Stanford, my psychology professor kind of, chuckled about it. He says, okay, here, Jeffrey, let me see your writing and tell me what is missing in your life that if it were present would fill you with joy. And he told me. And I said, okay, I want you to change these 6 letters and write them every day. And so because he wanted to prove me wrong, he did it. And rather than taking 40 days, it took 22 days, and everything began to open up for him as he had wanted it to. He finished to the 40, though, and then, it isn't magic and it isn't mystical. It's logical. When the way we write influences, how we think about ourselves, it's very logical. And when you change the way you write in a very positive way, say you use one of the Vimala letters, then your whole life is going to open up. I have letters from prisoners, and anyway, it just works, and it's so basic. And every stroke of my letters was based on my experience with those letters through the years. And I was made fun of growing up, and I didn't care, but... people say, what do you mean cross your T on the top? And I said, well, Nikola Tesla did, Albert Einstein did, Sally Ride did, and I list 32 people who crossed their T's on top that I happen to have their handwriting. But I have to have the experience of seeing it, that it works. And people believe all kinds of stuff, but if you don't have proof and you can't experience it, to me it's just belief, and belief can fly away in a blink.
Yes, it can. That's what I always encouraged everybody to. Go test my stuff for yourself. I have a question for you.
It's not about, you can believe anything, but it can change. Somebody can change your mind in, 2 minutes. So, but prove it. And if anybody listening, start with the initial of your first name, not nickname, and begin to make it, say, as the letters, in my Vimala alphabet, and you gave the website, and just print out the alphabet, and just for fun, and for the experience of it, you say if your first name is Elizabeth, start with the E and begin writing lines of the E and lines of words with E and just begin writing every day, no lines on the paper, and just see what happens.
Now, you also have the paper held horizontally and not vertically like normal, so you're using your paper in a different direction. Is that not correct?
Absolutely. We call it the landscape direction, yeah. And the reason I say landscape and no lines is that it's unfamiliar. You don't want to write in familiar territory like our binder paper in school, with blue lines and all and red mark. No, because that's just saying this is how it's always been. You are shifting your consciousness, and with that, you'll feel it when you do it. And I can't tell you how many people experience this and say, wow, I just feel differently. I said, good, you're doing it right.
Okay, so does it matter what zone you write in or what kind of margins you have, or is it just the formation of the letters?
Oh, no, everything makes a difference in handwriting, but keep a wide margin on the left and a narrow one on the right. The left of the paper is the past and the right is the future, so head into the future, but bless the past and let it go. And in England, I forget it was somewhere maybe 2005 or something, the Queen said, well, you don't have... Up until that time, when you wrote in England, you had to start halfway down the page out of respect for the Queen. And then all of a sudden the law changed and you can start at the top. But it's just, and writing habits around the world, I've studied them forever, and it's just fascinating, absolutely fascinating. Not just our language, but, and as you know, the letter J, which we were talking about when you interviewed me earlier, it wasn't even in our dictionaries until 1863. And people said, what about the name Jesus? I said, well, if you're a Christian, you know that there was that plaque on the cross that the Romans put there to make fun of Jesus. It didn't say JNRJ; it said INRI because there was no J. So, when you know the history of letters, it's it's like the history of countries. It's fascinating.
Now, you advise us to make an I, and that I is like a straight letter from top to bottom, and it's straight.
Absolutely.
And yet, in the Palmer way that most of us who were still being taught in schools, because they're not teaching it anymore, had these loops going up and the loops going to the left. Why is it so
No, they have
important?
a slash to the bottom, at the bottom. You have a loop at the top, and you go to the bottom and slash across.
Slash it.
It's
okay.
one of the most negative forms of who I am that you could possibly make. Because the loop has to do with mom, the slash has to do with that. I mean, I could go on, but I call it the I am stroke, but when you're in a sentence writing I, you want a crossbar at the top and one at the bottom. And the top always must go straight across or a little bit tilted upwards, never downwards. And it's just
redoing that.
See what it feels like.
I was just going to say,
that's all I can tell people. Just do it.
Just do it. So does that help build self-confidence when they start making the I's with a straight bar down and then a cross on the bottom and a cross with a little bit of slant on the top?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It grounds you can feel it as you write it. And if you write, say, a few of the other old-fashioned Palmer I's, and then you do this, and you can feel the difference in your body, mind, and soul. It's just a huge difference. As I tell people, don't believe this. Just pick up your pen and find out for yourself.
And do it. Why did you form the Institute of Integral Handwriting Studies in 1991 in Palo Alto, California?
You were there?
No, but I read about it.
No, we started in 91 in Palo Alto, yeah. And in fact, we had I hope I have a few minutes to tell this story about the letter E, because the people I had were very intelligent and they were way up on the top of being smart and curious, wanting to know more. And every year on December 31st, we would write one letter, one page of one letter for the whole year, every day. And we decided one year to take on the letter E, which is tolerance. It doesn't mean agreeing with people, it just means being tolerant. And then we had a bumper sticker made, and the bumper sticker said one thing. It said, I may be wrong. And there was 42 of us, and I can't tell you, everyone was stopped along the way. So what does that mean? And people say, well, sometimes I'm not right, and I want to hear how you think. And they say, no, what does it really mean? Everybody questioned that. And we realized from that practice in the first month that the whole issue that's holding humanity back from growing is everybody has to be right. And the whole declaration for the letter E is, I may be wrong. Explain your view so I understand it better. There was a semicolon after I may be wrong. I mean, it was just, and that's how we experienced that, give up the need to be right.
I find in namology science that people whose names start with a C have that condition worse than everybody else. Well,
the letter C, you want to have it plain. You don't want hooks or anything. C is a matter of, giving up the need to understand and trusting in the infinite. And the declaration is, I give up the need to understand. I trust God completely. And that's the letter C. And if people with a little hook, a little curl, don't do that. I said, it's like a donut sliced in half, clean.
Well,
any curls or decorations in that letter, it's and women say, I can do that. I said, go up to the board. And they do that. Oh, no. And it also represents issues with female authority figures. So, anyway.
When I started writing the letter C and doing it your way with no hooks, no hoops, nothing, just plain, like it's just part of that circle and there's nothing else there, I noticed that my daughter started calling me more often than she had before.
Yeah, things like that happen.
I mean, that was just something that I noticed when I started practicing the letter C. I thought, isn't this interesting? I thought it was curious, and I thought, I wonder if there's a connection.
Absolutely. And that's why we've taken on, there's a group of us who've taken on the letter P, as in peace, or pineapple, for the year, because the declaration is very simple. I interact with everyone as though they love me, not as though I love them. And when you write that every day and you live it, you will see what will happen to your self-image and everybody else's. And just do it. And just starting today, or tomorrow, because it's late, I interact with everyone as though they love me. And it's it's a peace promoter, and just do it and find out.
I had not heard that thought until I took your beginning writing class. And when you said that, I wrote it down. And I made a sign that literally hangs in my office right now as a daily reminder when I come into work to do that. And
beautiful.
I noticed that just reading that every day and sitting there, and anytime you're coming in or out, you can't help but see it. And I noticed that I'm more comfortable with other people now that I'm holding that in my thought. Because people that we think love us, we're relaxed around. And if we don't think they love us, we could, have more limitations or more walls up or more whatever.
Absolutely.
But that
I'm so glad
go ahead.
Yeah, that would change your life forever, really.
Yeah,
and
I
what
thought
it
that
does,
was so powerful.
I'm so glad you have it visible in your office because it changes the self-image of the person who is living it. In other words, yours and mine, interacting with other people. It doesn't change them as much as you do you, and when you change, they change. I mean,
exactly. Well,
God has this wonderful sense of humor. He just
we're already in another break. You're listening to Know the Name, Know the Genius in You with Sharon Lynn Wyeth on X-Zone Broadcast Network, xzbn.net. This show can also be heard on Know the Name on the schedule page. This show is dedicated to finding out about the importance of how we form the letters that we write. And after the break, we're going to find out more about this importance and what ligatures are. Stay tuned.
From our broadcast studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, to the world and beyond, you're watching the X-Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net.
AVS Media.
You have heard of the X-Zone? Now watch it on Simul TV, plus 500 video games, live TV channels, free video on demand, worldwide, and more. Does this sound like tomorrow's television? Well, it is, but you can have it today, right now. It is Simul TV. Simul TV offers what the others only wish they could provide. 15 exclusive channels like X-Zone, Sci-Fi, and Horror. We are worldwide. No other provider offers that. 500 built-in video games. No need to have an extra expensive system. We have them included. Free video on demand. Live streaming events from around the world, interactive online network, and much more. Tomorrow's TV today. Simul TV. Sound too good to be true? Well, it's not. You can have Simul TV today. Sign up at simultv.com. Do it today.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X-Zone radio show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, X-1, Dimension X, Space Patrol, and every minute of the X-Zone Broadcast Network by calling 213-401-0080, courtesy of Audio Now. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan, and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 213-401-0080 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember 213-401-0080 for the best of the paranormal, parapsychology, and sci-fi radio programming anywhere, 24/7, 365. Rob McConnell here, presenting an overview for Nicholas Paul Jennings, author of a fascinating book, Amen. It presents facts revealed by Egyptologists, facts that enable us to understand why Amen is the beginning of creation of God. It provides recommendations for religious leaders of the major religions to unify their beliefs and teach the Word of God. Love one another. Amen informs people how mankind conceived God. It was the Egyptians that developed the concepts of a soul, a hereafter, and Son of God. And finally, after the worship of many gods, they conceived the belief in one universal God, the maker of all there is. For more information, visit www.futureofgodamen.com. That's www.futureofgodamen.com.
Welcome back. I'm Sharon Lynn Wyatt, and you're listening to Know the Name, Know the Genius in You on xzbn.net. Our guest tonight is Vimala Rogers, who's created the Vimala alphabet, which shows us how to form the letters when we write. Her website, again, is iihs.com. Again, it's a bit different. They're all little letters, iihs.com. It's the initials of her school. So, Vimala, what does it mean when someone writes and creates extra loops everywhere?
They have loops everywhere?
Yes, I've seen a lot of kids that write with loops.
And there are some people who write only with angles. It's how their mind works. And I can't say anything about one trait in handwriting, but if I could look at the handwriting, I could give you clues. But if the focus of using my alphabet is no extremes in handwriting. And if there's no extremes in handwriting, there's no extremes in your life. And if someone writes with lots and lots of loops or lots and lots of angles, there's an extreme. There's something in their mind telling them this is how it is and this is how it is, and I'm right. It's a very uncomfortable feeling to write that way. And if you want to find out, find the sample of somebody who does that, get a piece of paper and imitate it. And then you'll experience.
I've tried that. I've literally tried that. I find it very hard. I think people that can forge other people's handwriting, must really practice or something, because I find it very difficult.
Yeah, and the handwriting that's most difficult to forge is the signature. They can scribble around. Anybody can scribble around and create a signature, but when you have a clear signature, it's very hard to create a forgery of somebody. So anyway. Oh, my goodness, Sharon, this is fun. So,
well, I noticed that...
What other questions do you have? Maybe I can answer. I don't know.
I have lots of questions for you. But I want to talk about one other letter before I go back to the founding principles that sum up on your website what your school's about. And that is the hardest one I found. I found that other letters easy to switch or change or adapt or whatnot. But writing the O going to the right first and then...
Oh, no, clockwise.
Yeah, going clockwise versus counterclockwise. It's like I've got it down now in my signature. It's always clockwise, and I don't have to think about it. But when I go to write a number, like the number 0, I have to rethink again. Oh, yeah, this is like a 0. I have to be going forward. And so talk to us about the O, which to me has just been the most challenging of all your letters.
Well, the reason I teach the O is the second letter. I teach the alphabet in families, and it's A, O, D, G, Q. But the O is a letter of truth-telling. And often we'll just say, well, I just told the truth, and someone ends up in tears. To tell the truth means you speak to the indwelling spirit in the other person. When you write a clockwise O, that's what your mind is telling you to do. When you write a counterclockwise, then often with a little loop in the top, it's like, oh, I'm right. I know it's right. And until you really practice the one and then the other, you won't really know. But when that O is, and I put it in all my books and all my classes, as you know, always clockwise. Because when you start clockwise and you end at the top, there's no way you can put a loop in that. When you go counterclockwise, it's a natural thing to put a loop and connect it and do whatever. And the O is a letter of truth-telling. Truth-telling doesn't mean fact-telling. It means speaking to the indwelling spirit in the other person when you're creating a conversation. And it's possible. I mean, it's very possible, but just...
It's very possible, but it's just... I mean, I found that out of all the letters the most challenging. So, and it's very different. I really encourage and challenge all of you to try that, and then just keep it in mind and keep doing it. It's like certain letters that are prior to the O, I'm good with, and I can get the O correct. And other letters, it's like breaking a bad habit.
That's what. And anybody listening, if you begin. When you begin putting your pen to work, on the paper with the Vimala letters, you're going to feel changes, and when you do them consistently, your whole life is going to change. I mean, I know it. I've worked with hundreds of people. We're in 41 countries right now, and anyway, we just got interest from Singapore, but I mean all around the world. And one of my graduate students is teaching in Hong Kong, and of course he teaches economics, but he writes on the board using my alphabet, and the kids are they just want to know more and more and more. So he now has been hired to teach 6th to 12th grade handwriting in Hong Kong. I think
that's fabulous. I think that's absolutely fabulous.
It's moving the peace. It's peace thinking. It's just, and those kids are going to have very different attitudes. And it's all my graduate students said was they're very happy now, and they never go out for lunch. They sit there and practice their writing.
Well, I had another question for you because of something I've noticed in my 40 years of teaching or being involved in education, and that is a lot of our children now are starting their O's, because we're not teaching handwriting in schools, at the 6 o'clock position instead of the 12 o'clock position. And I'm sure that doing it down there and starting at the bottom instead of starting at the top would have an effect. And I've also noticed that we're raising somehow students who don't feel as good about themselves, and we've constantly been increasing the number of shooters. Is there any correlation between how people make that O or how they form their letters if they start in the mid zone or at the bottom of at the bottom at 6 o'clock instead of 12 o'clock, and violence?
Well, I've never studied that, so I don't know. I'd have to do a study and find out. But what I'm finding is that kids are not writing. They're using their, iPhones and all of this and their thumbs and all that. And when you see even adults walking along, they don't even look at each other. They just keep looking at their little phone. That is where the trouble is coming from. They are not relating to their soul energy or their heart energy because they're using their computers all the time. And they don't use a pen. Sometimes they'll use, one of those syllabus, maybe on their iPad or something, but it isn't the same. It's a whole different energy is being expressed when you use an iPad or computer than when you use a pen. Very, very different. I've never heard about starting at the bottom. I can't imagine it would be very positive, but anyway, and one of my goals, in fact, our major goal, is to get the Vimala system in all handwriting, all elementary schools in the United States. 44 states don't teach cursive at all.
Yeah, and that's a crime.
They don't have signatures. They don't know how to write their name. One of the mothers sent me an email and said, I asked my son if he could get the shopping list off the fridge before he goes shopping. He said, that's okay, Mom, I can't read it. 15-year-old kid. He can't read handwriting.
Well, a lot of them in our classroom, I remember when I first started teaching in Idaho, I got called into the principal's office the first day because I had embarrassed some students. And I thought, I am a seasoned teacher. My gosh, what did I do to embarrass? I don't do that, And he said, you wrote in cursive on the board and half your class can't read it. So that's embarrassing to them. You need to print.
That is, it's embarrassing. I know, and what's happened. But the whole mindset of people nowadays is based on, computers. And, it's funny, and Nikola Tesla, who's one of my heroes, brought forth electricity, the alternating current. And he thanked God for the gift. But when electronics came about, nobody thanked God. And I thought, one of these days, God, the clown that he is going to say, okay, you can keep your electricity, but I'm pulling the electronic plug. I can just picture, he has, the God I know just has a wonderful sense of humor. And look around at your life and you'll know what I'm talking about. But he just loves to play with us. But his or her, whoever it is, there's a limit to what they can take, to what the divine energy can take. And this electronic stuff is just way out of hand.
Well, but also, I know that as a bonus this year, when I was teaching, as a bonus, I helped every child learn how to do the Vimala alphabet in their signature.
Oh, my gosh, I love it. Oh, that's going to help their self-image. My gosh.
I teach math, but I started talking about the Vimala alphabet because of one of my parents that brought it to my attention. And then as I was studying it, I thought, I can do this the last 5 minutes of every class, while we're also
beautiful.
doing our drills, like 2 times 2 is, and 3 times 3 is, and 5 times 5 is, or whatever, 7 times 8, because I drill them the last 5 minutes.
Beautiful. That's the way they remember.
And so I started saying, and while you're doing this drill, let's be practicing our writing and at least get it down. And then I will give you bonuses where if you're doing your writing, then you get the bonus question right. You don't have to do the bonus question. It's
beautiful.
like a trade-off. And because I just thought, how horrible that they don't know how to write their own signature.
They don't. Most kids don't. So that is such a gift. They have no idea the size of that gift. Huge. Absolutely huge. And it shocks me because, anyway, but we want to train teachers to learn it and to bring it into schools and see the difference. And anyway, it starts with the grown-ups. But I'm just so glad you have me on the show, because somebody I'm sure will listen that is a parent or a teacher and saying, and we have a whole, I have a teacher's manual called Character Building Through Simplified Handwriting. And it's very basic. And the kids love it when they learn how, and the teachers have to learn first.
Yeah. Well, my kids always ask me if I went to go too close to the end of the period. They go, well, aren't we getting a letter today?
Love it. Oh, Sharon, that is beautiful.
Well, we need to take our last break.
You look at the whole name, but the initial of the first name is what is so important. And if you have anyone in your classes with the name of Elizabeth, do you realize she has 3 ligatures in that name, Z-A-B-E and T-H? And Michael has 3, C-H-U has 2. So all names have energy within them.
We're going to talk about ligatures when we come back from our last break. Stay tuned to Know the Name, Know the Genius in You with Sharon Lynn Wyeth on an X-Zone Broadcast Network, xzbn.net, and knowthename.com. After the break, we're going to find out what Vimala Rogers has in her name that has assisted her that you might have in your name as well. Stay tuned.
You have heard of the X-Zone? Now watch it on Simul TV, plus 500 video games, live TV channels, free video on demand, worldwide, and more. Does this sound like tomorrow's television? Well, it is, but you can have it today, right now. It is Simul TV. Simul TV offers what the others only wish they could provide. 15 exclusive channels like X-Zone, Sci-Fi, and Horror. We are worldwide. No other provider offers that. 500 built-in video games. No need to have an extra expensive system. We have them included. Free video on demand. Live streaming events from around the world. Interactive online network, and much more. Tomorrow's TV today. Simul TV. Sound too good to be true? Well, it's not. You can have Simul TV today. Sign up at simultv.com. Do it today.
The new nonfiction book, Razor of Madness, is similar to cult movies like Clockwork Orange, Dragon's Tattoo, or The Other Side of Hell. Wayne Morin Jr. and Thomas Lee Howell expose widespread and systematic deficiencies in this thought-provoking tell-all novel. Mind control rages among scholars in law schools. Human rights are ignored while thought reform and mental manipulation are accepted practices used as behavior modification. Dr. Louis Jolyon West comes to mind. Media and public scrutiny shows that United States mental hospitals are in fact destructive murder industries. Razor of Madness expose novel details this epidemic through an in-depth professional and personal investigation. For decades, there has been a revolving door policy that still releases killers and pedophiles back into society. The maestro of mind control continues to haunt America to this very day. Razor of Madness is available in paperback or as a downloadable ebook at Amazon.com.
The concept of a new age has been around since the late 19th century, yet much of its original meaning has been lost. What exactly is the new age? Is it a religion, a collection of obscure esoteric practices, a series of doomsday predictions, or an astrological event? The New Age Chronicles is a unique, complementary publication bringing reason and grounded information to separate fact from fiction. Chock full of valuable information to support you as we make the monumental shift into the new era. You won't want to miss a single innovative issue. The New Age Chronicles newspaper is coming soon to www.newagechronicles.com.
Welcome back. I'm Sharon Lynn Wyeth, and you're listening to Know the Name, Know the Genius in You. Our guest tonight is Vimala Rogers. She has taken her ability to understand the connection between how we form our letters and how our brain works to the extent that she can show how changing your handwriting can literally change your life. Again, her website is iihs.com. Again, it's iihs.com, and I'll give it to you again before the end of the show. So be ready to write it down. Vimala, your school's founding principles are summed up on your website as your mind is a gift, fill it with self-affirming thoughts. Your body is a temple, treat it accordingly. Your soul is who you really are, express it with gratitude. How do these principles relate to your alphabet?
Everyone. When you write a certain way, and also, the way I'm also I've been a vegetarian for 47 years, but it's how we can't blame it on anybody else. It's how we write, how we eat, how we think, how we treat other people, and it's all in a letter of the alphabet. There's one for everyone. But you mentioned ligatures, and actually, it's almost 6:45, and at 6:45 I have to go in and get.
Yeah.
I'm teaching a class on ligatures tonight, and I thought, Sharon has an SH, and we're speaking about the SH tonight. And the declaration for the SH is very, very simple. I am guided by divine intervention to the job I'm here to do. We call it a job. You can call it a profession. But, in other words, you're not doing this, on your own. You are being guided very clearly, step by step as you go, and it's beautiful. And that's what the SH is all about.
Well, thank you. I have a second ligature, which is a TH.
A TH, the TH, a TH is flexibility, and the declaration is very, very simple, because TH people tend to talk a lot and tell people how to do things, and the declaration is, I am a gentle listener. And if a name starts with a TH or has it in it, stop talking, close your mouth, open your eyes and your mind, and listen.
Now, see, I find that fascinating because the TH for me is in my last name. And in namology science, the last name are the people that you bring around you. And so that would mean that the people I bring around me are all trying to tell me what to do and talk, and they really just need to be quiet and listen.
To listen to them, I love
it. So anyway, combining that. Can we eliminate handwriting techniques or something that limits our creativity? Is there any way to do letters so that our creativity expands instead of us subconsciously limiting that?
Well, I have no idea. My whole focus is on handwriting. Change your handwriting, change your life. There are letters that, in fact, the initial of my birth name was ST, the ligature ST, and that is my life is a radiant expression of my unquenchable spirit. And just write these letters, and certain attitudes, will take over your mind and your heart and your whole life. And people have other people, see them change. Are you in love or something? I said, no, I just changed my handwriting.
Well, that's what I was thinking. Are there letters to write if we want to expand our creativity versus limiting ourselves with creativity?
Oh, why don't you start with the letter P? Why don't you, you can start with any letter you want to, because the P expands how we see ourselves, because we interact with everyone as they love us. But it ought to be, no one letter will express creativity by itself. It's like a family. You can't have a family without more than one person.
Well, see, that's so important to know.
But I know. But anyway, this has been fun. Someone's going to knock on my office. You got to get down the hall.
Yeah, well, we're almost there. So you have a Facebook group. Can anyone join, and what's the value of joining?
Well, the Facebook group is for people who are doing the Vimala way, what do we call it? The alphabetical way. We're in week 3 of a 12-week series. If people want to join, they would be obliged to write certain letters every day, and I could, if they want to join the peace group, let me know, and I will send them information. But it isn't just about, being peaceful and happy. It's about writing every day to bring that whole attitude around the world and in everyone you know, but especially within yourself. Because, as we change, everybody around us changes.
Right. Is there anything else that you're currently working on that you'd like to share with us?
No, just I'm doing my very best to get the word out to teachers. That's what I really want, because the teachers have to learn it before they can teach the kids. And so many kids they have iPhones and iPads and all that stuff, but they don't know how to write, and they don't know how to. And the teachers,
excuse me.
We want to train teachers to train kids, and we have the homeschoolers are the first group that would be willing to, are willing to take it on. But public schools and private schools, I don't know. I would just love to get we have some teachers out there, but not enough. And that my dream would be to get teachers learning the Vimala system and training their kids in it, because those teachers who have done it, and there have been teachers saying, all my kids win prizes for being kind, generous, open, loving, doing their hoping, helping others, just on and on and on. And it has to do with the handwriting. So,
well, in your opinion, did educators make a mistake when we decided to no longer teach handwriting, when the administrators decided no longer to teach handwriting to children?
And I don't know who decided to do it, but it was a huge error. But the whole world has gone mad. And you're in Canada, though, but you don't have Donald Trump as your president. The world has gone crazy with that. Anyway, if you saw his writing, his handwriting is all just, the letters are indistinguishable. It's just a bunch of slashy letters, so slashy marks. But what we're dealing with is what is happening, and we need to be the best we can be to change the whole world for the best it can be. And I would say taking out handwriting out of schools was a dramatic mistake. Dramatic.
Okay. Is there anything
anyway,
else you'd like for our listeners to know about letters before we close?
If they can go out to my website and just print out my alphabet and focus on the initial of their first name and upper lowercase, just write it. Not nickname, but your real name. And just see what happens. And then if that feels good, pick up another letter or two that you want to do. But now, I would recommend it to everybody, because it enforces world peace.
Does it matter what time of day we do it? I mean, I've seen some of your students, and they're getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning to do this. Does it matter?
The most sacred time of day is between 3:45 and 6 a.m. It's called the Brahma Muhurta, or the time of God, in 9 different traditions I've studied around the world. That is the sacred time of day. When I write then, I can feel a very different energy than just this world stuff that goes on. If indeed you want to find out, get up some between 4 and 6 and do your writing, and you'll know. I mean, it's the most sacred time. You can feel the fact that there's nothing there. It's just you and the presence and all of that. It just feels good.
When I was doing my research for Know the Name, and start with a meditation, and then I would be looking for the patterns for in the letters and everything. I always got up at 4 o'clock in the morning. It seemed that between 4 and 5, my head was the clearest. And I did that for 15 years.
Yeah, and also, I just realized it's time for me to...
Yes, it is. Thank you so much for being on our show tonight. So appreciative of you taking time out of your busy schedule to join us.
Yeah, and if people want information about how to join the peace group and all, give them this email address. We have a business email address, teachers.iihs at gmail.com.
Okay.
And you get lots of information there.
Well, let them know. So be prepared and surprised and pleased when you experience Vimala Rogers' work. Her website, again, is iihs.com. And if you'd like to write her to join her teachers group or to ask for more information, her email address is teachersiihs@gmail.com. Again, that's teachersiihs@gmail.com. Vimala's name indicates that she excels at helping people improve their lives by gifting them with a simple methodology to do this. It's all through the handwriting. This is found for her in a combination of the first vowel of I in her first name, which is the indication that everyone is her family and she wishes to assist everyone. with the letter combination DG, which is in her last name, which stands for simple methodologies, that she can take anything that's complex and put it into simple form. If your name has the consonant cluster DG anywhere in your name, you too have this ability to figure out methodologies to make things simpler. Do you want to know where your genius lies? I'm Sharon Lynn Wyeth, host of the radio show Know the Name, Know the Genius in You, which can be heard every weekday at various hours right here on xzbn.net radio, an X-Zone radio station, and on the schedule page for knowthename.com. Tune in to hear the fascinating ways other people have discovered the genius in themselves and what they're able to accomplish. In each upcoming show, you hear, and you'll continue to hear, clues on how you can recognize your own innate genius. For all the days and times of Know the Name, Know the Genius in You, go to xzbn.net and check out our broadcast schedule. If you wish to know how to learn how to read a person's name, or even more about what your own name means and how you can discover your innate genius, visit the website, knowthename.com, and give yourself the gift of a session to help you live to your best and highest. You can schedule an appointment with me, your host, by visiting knowthename.com. Remember that once you know the name, you know all about the real person. You're listening to Know the Name, Know the Genius in You with Sharon Lynn Wyeth on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, xzbn.net, and on knowthename.com. This is Sharon Lynn Wyeth signing off.
Modern Esoteric, Beyond Our Senses by Brad Olson, consummates the lifeology story about where humanity originates. It is the lost continents, the primitive wisdom, the mythos of creation, and the rethinking of ancient history as we are taught in academia. There is much more to the story than what we have been told. As this is the first book in the Esoteric series, Modern Esoteric starts at the beginning of time and accelerates up to this modern age. Future Esoteric is book 2 in the series and takes a forward-looking position ahead of today with an open and honest examination of the ET issue and various unexplained phenomena. To discover the writings of author Brad Olson, visit www.bradolson.com. That's www.bradolson.com. Are you or is someone you know struggling with addictions, depression, anxiety, relationships, low self-esteem, lack of confidence, grief, success, and prosperity? Do you know that your subconscious belief plays a big role in the outcome of your hard work? We can help you permanently change the beliefs that may be the reason for your struggles and failures. We care about getting you the return on your investment and the results you are looking for. We can help you be free of the limitations of your past and in realizing your highest potential. We work with people by phone and Skype. For more information, visit us at www.ritasoman.com. That's www.ritasoman.com. Do you think you have energy problems in your home? Do you feel better when you're away than when you're home? Joey Korn is a global leader in the world of dowsing who specializes in personal energy clearing and space clearing. He can help you create an ideal energy environment in your home no matter where you live in the world. Learn about his remote spiritual house cleaning services and much more at www.dowsers.com. You can get Joey's book, Dowsing, A Path to Enlightenment, as well as other dowsing books and tools, Kabbalah books, and Walter Russell books. Joey's work is really amazing. Go to dowsers.com right now. That's DOWSERS.com or call 1-877-DOWSING. That's 1-877-369-7464.